Deon, if we can start, give us an insight into the team's preparations. I know you had a couple of days off last week, then the guys worked really hard for 3 days. What happened over the weekend in terms of practice and training, and what is the program? How's the training going in the build-up to this big game?
Hi, good day, Jan. Yes, we had a good week last week in our preparation, where we actually focused on ourselves and sort of did a review on all departments of our game, preparing going forward. Then the boys had a couple of days off, spending some time with their families, and then we had a detailed session on over the weekend, where we just made some plans, talked about possible strategies going forward, depending on the opponents. And we've just arrived this afternoon here, after an hour's train trip, and our day one starts tomorrow, and then it's a normal build-up until Sunday.
Craig?
Thanks, Zina. Hi, gentlemen. Deon, just in terms of the pictures you want to present to the referee, because obviously, big game, discipline's going to be a factor, and I guess a lot of home support, the ref's going to be under a lot of pressure. So have you discussed sort of taking a view on presenting really clean pictures for the referee?
Good day, Craig. Yes, man. I mean, in analyzing our game, we really understand going forward, discipline is going to be very, very key. If you look at the opposition that we will face. We've analyzed our game, looking at the different areas where we could become better. Also focusing on the possible challenges that we might receive in order to address that. So that is something that is very high on our agenda, to ensure that the pictures that we give at breakdown, at scrum, whether it's mauling, that those pictures are the right pictures, and hopefully will be interpreted in the right way.
Guys, please raise your hand for questions. Kaniso?
Thank you very much, Zina. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Deon, just still on the pictures of match officials. I mean, the hostility here in France is very much noted. And we saw in Marseille how the hostility can get to a match official. I know that that's pretty much out of control, but is there a slight concern that whoever's reffing the game may be under a bit more pressure as normal? Because we have to understand that this is probably France's biggest test match in at least 15 years at home.
I think part of playing the players going forward and playing in this tournament has to do with pressure. I don't think there's only pressure on the referee. There's also a lot of pressure on the players, there's pressure on the coaches. It's part of the game. I mean, the referee is also human. There will be, I think, good decisions. There might be decisions that go the other way, but that is something that we will have to adapt to. I think the only thing that we can do is to be as clinical and as precise in our execution. Try to do that, and then just ensure that we stay on the right side. But as I said, we can accept or expect that playing here against the home team, it's going to be a massive atmosphere. I think we had a dry run of that last year when we played here in Marseille. It was an absolutely fantastic atmosphere. I think the players also experienced the same type of environment in 2019 against Japan. So something that a lot of these players are used to. So we clearly understand that it's going to be in an environment that we will have to adapt into very well. That our focus needs to be laser sharp in terms of our execution, and just focus on the things that are in our control.
Hendrik?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Deon. This one is for you. Deon, why did you decide to only name the team on Friday, or the Boks then? Why did the Boks decide to only name the team on Friday?
Maar Hendrik, ons wil miskien net 'n bietjie aan die raai hou.
Okay.
Vanessa?
Good morning. It's actually Valen. Thanks, Zina. Good morning, gentlemen. Just about the discipline record of the team, coach, throughout the pool stages, no cards. I think you guys have only got one tournament in 2011 where you haven't actually gotten a card throughout the actual event. Just wondering if this is something that you guys actually talked about beforehand, and if it's something that is at all important.
A very good question. Just looking back in terms of our build-up and in the different competitions that we've been playing, I really have to tap these players sitting around me on their back in terms of buying into the whole concept of doing things required to improve the game, but also improving our game. So there's a lot of things that we focused on from the start, things like level change, carrying the ball into contact, into tackling, as an example. So we've emphasized different areas that we want to get better in, and we actually simulated continuously, and still are simulating continuously a lot of those aspects in training, especially in areas where we get penalized, to improve our technique and also to stay within the law. I don't think there's anything that we do on the training field or that we prepare for that haven't got a focus on what is required from the law. And because we've done those things continuously from an early stage in the different competitions that we've played in this past 4 years, I think we're quite glad to see that those things are starting to pay off. It comes with hard work, a lot of planning, but at the end of the day, the buy-in of the players and ensuring that they do everything possible to get better in training and also on their own in terms of the work-ons that they do. I think that is things that helps us to stay within the law. But you know the game, big accidents happen. Touch wood. It won't happen to us going forward, but at this stage we are very, very impressed with the way the team behaved in terms of not conceding yellow cards on the field.
Liam?
Good day, gents. My question's for Deon. 4 years ago, at the corresponding stage of the competition, you used the maul to devastating effect against Japan. Is that something that you draw comfort from, especially in knockout matches?
Liam, you know, when you play rugby, obviously it's all about using opportunity. It's all about territory. It's all about good defense. It's all about good set pieces. So for us, mauling has always been part of our game. But as you can see, also over the competition, the teams also evolved in terms of their own mauling or more stopping. So it will always be part of our game, but we also over the past few years we said to ourselves that, listen, we have to evolve our game. Our mauling can't just stay the one thing. It's still a very, very important thing for us, and it will be stay the same. But I mean, there's also other opportunities. There's also other things that happens within the game where we give you more position that you will need to be better in, but mauling will always be part of the Springboks.
Luke?
Thank you. Luke from The Guardian. Question for Faf, please. Faf, Antoine Dupont has been cleared to start training again. From a personal point of view, for you in terms of the challenge, do you hope that he's fit to play?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's great for France to have him back. I think he's a great asset for them. For me personally, it's always good to play against one of the best in the world. But yeah, like I said earlier, we're preparing to play against France and not just against him. Although he's a very dangerous player, and we know where the threats lie in that. Yeah, we just basically just focusing on playing against France and the challenges that brings along with it.
Arlian?
Zina. Hello guys, this one is for Faf again. Faf, there's been a lot of talks about the way the Springboks game has evolved the last couple of years, especially compared to 2019. How would you describe the way your game has changed? And you as a 9, do you feel more comfortable now the way you're playing in 2023?
Yeah, I think it's a good blend that we brought into our game. 2019, we were basically just mauling and scrumming and kicking and backing our defense to do the work. I think, especially this last year, we've worked really hard on getting other aspects in our game. So maybe keeping the ball for a bit longer passages, but then also making sure that those main pillars of ours are still very strong. But I think for me personally, it's what the team needs and what type of game we want to play against the side that we're playing against. And I need to adapt to that and adjust to it. But yeah, I think it doesn't really affect my personal play. I really enjoy it when we keep the ball in hand a bit more. But I also understand that there's a massive in the game to gain when we do use our other strengths. But yeah, it's been fun to see how the guys has evolved their skill set. I think we couldn't play this game that we're playing now 4 years ago because we don't have the skill set to achieve all of that. So yeah, a lot of hard work's been put in from the boys and a lot of passing and things like that. So yeah, credit should go to the coaches for making us work so hard and just our simple skills.
Moreno?
Hi, good afternoon from Italy. Following on the same subject, how can you relate on the match you had against France last year, considering also the way you have evolved?
Who is the question for, Moreno?
I think he's gone.
Hello?
Lost connection, sorry.
Who is the question for, Moreno?
Anyone following on the same subject? To Faf.
Yeah, just I think it's difficult to say. A year ago, I think we were also in a great spot, and we started playing that type of game, started working on it a bit more. But yeah, I think we know France a bit better as a team now, and how they've we had a closer eye on them over the last year and see how they've evolved as well. And I think we've got a better understanding of how they want to play. So we obviously have worked out a few things to hopefully counter that, and hopefully we can get some advantage of all the hard work we've been doing behind the scenes. But yeah, it's still going to be a massive challenge. They're a great side, and we're really looking forward to a massive clash in France.
Morgan?
Thanks, Ina. Hi, Faf, Deon, Ergeb, just for you, Don mentioned that the French have probably got the most dominant pack in World Rugby at this point in time, and the Springboks is something that you guys pride yourselves on as much. So I'm sure you guys are really looking forward to this challenge. To beat the best, to be the best, you have to beat the best. And then as a guy that hasn't played much since 2019, how do you feel your pack has evolved?
Yeah, I think that is definitely one of the challenges we'll face this weekend as a pack. Is the physicality coming from the French pack, but it is like you said, that's one of the big things we measure ourselves on as well. So we're really looking forward to that challenge. And then, yeah, I think it's more or less similar to what Faf said. It's actually small details or really basic things that we've all started being sharper on and just spend more time working on, So I think even as a pack of forwards, we're working on little details like our passing skills and catching skills, stuff that forwards probably don't work on all that much, just to improve. And yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing that we've, improved on.
Thanks, Ergeb.
Nathan?
Thank you very much, Zina. Coach D, with Andre and Luca on your back, this will obviously increase competition for places than the 23. Do you think this in a way will subconsciously force players to perform at their best? I mean, we saw 100% goal kicking rate and Manu, who's been disappointing at this aspect, but producing against Tonga, for example.
And Nathan, I think the beauty of this team is that at this point in time, I think we've got a very good, balanced and experienced squad, guys that know each other for a long time. In terms of the depth in our squad, I think in each position, there's a lot of experience and a lot of depth, and that overall improves the level and the standard of our training. It improves the standard of the competition between the players, and it is not just in those positions. I think it's throughout the squad. Other important thing is that everyone in the squad understands it's never about the individual. It's always about the team and doing things for each other to the benefit of the team. So whether you are in the 23 or not, the goal is the same, to ensure that at the end of the day the team performs, and it's rather a situation where guys support each other, assist each other and help each other to get better, because that makes the team better. Being in that position, I think gives us that assurance that in terms of what opposition we play or what challenges we face, that we will be in a situation where the guy gets selected or not, that he will put the team's interest first and work according to that. And I think going forward now, it's much more important than ever. And the guys are really enjoying each other and really are ensuring that they prepare to the best of their ability. And rightly, that obviously will increases the competition between the guys, but in a positive way.
Jan?
Thank you, Zina. Actually, just to follow up on your earlier question, I know that the two packs probably measure up in all departments, or they will be very competitive in all departments. What specific aspect of the French pack do you think personally, I mean, you obviously didn't play in Marseille last year, but what specific aspect of their pack do you think hold the biggest threat to the Springboks?
Yeah, just like you said, I didn't play the last game, so I just know that the French definitely pride themselves on their scrum, so that'll most definitely be something that they will look to get dominance in the game, and definitely a big focus for us as well during this week in our prep.
Craig?
Thanks, Zina. Faf, maybe this one's for you. Achille mentioned there a little while ago the finer detail. We've seen the Springboks create a lot of chances, get into the red zone quite a lot, and not just at this tournament, but probably over the last 2 years. And maybe your conversion rate's not quite where you want it to be. And as the main sort of game driver in that situation, you decide whether to go left or right or kick or short pass, long pass, whatever the case may be. What sort of what have you been doing to sort of sharpen up that aspect? Is it a mental thing or is it a training thing? Yeah, when I say mental, I mean like more patience or making one more play or something like that.
Yeah, I think this can go a lot of ways. But we've also, I think we've probably got the most held up tries from all the teams in the last year or so. So I think like you said, we're creating a lot of opportunities, but it might just be as simple as that. Maybe take it to the back line a bit quicker, or stick to the forwards a bit longer, or just some guy just has a bit more patience, or it's really it depends on situations. But I think definitely that's something we've worked on really hard in the last few weeks. Getting into that 22 and making sure we walk away there with points. And I think that's something that's going to be very, very important, especially against a French side who doesn't give you a lot of entries into their 22. Is that when we get there, we have to walk away with points. So I think work on is just to realize that they love big moments and they want to get a turnover and get out of there. So for us is to make sure that we are ready for that challenge. And we've been speaking about it for quite a bit, and I think the boys are really focused when we get there to make sure that we execute what we plan to do.
Can you so?
Thank you very much, Zina. Quick one for Faf and Erge. I mean, Faf, speaking of game drivers in particular, just talk us through the importance of having Mani and Andre playing so well and being what could be a very particularly important combination along with you for Saturday's game. And for Erge, just talk us through what you understand about this issue of the Boks may or may not be playing without the flag on if the water deadline is not met.
Yeah, it's great to have Andre back. He's been with the team for many years, but specifically this group. He's been here. He's one part of the furniture. And it's great to have him back. He's a great asset to us, and he gives a lot of confidence to the players around him. And I think his calm demeanor on the field in big moment situations or big pressure situations is really something that can help us a lot in playoff games. And then you got Mani, which is playing unbelievably good. He's organizing great, but also allowing us to score a lot of tries. So there's a great balance between the two of them. And I think any one of them can get the nod and or replace each other, whatever. I don't think it's going to make a big difference, but I think it's great for Mani to have Paul here and vice versa. And I'm just very fortunate to be able to pass the ball to them.
Valen?
No, just as far as that goes, it's something that we're not really focused on. We are just focused on doing things that are in our control and focusing on the weekend ahead. So that's simple answer to that.
Valen?
Maybe I can just get Erge to answer this one. You have faced an expectant crowd, a home crowd in Japan in the quarters. I mean, you're doing it again this time, but it's a completely different kettle of fish against a really classy French team who are buoyed by fervent home support. How are you going to silence the crowd?
Yeah, I don't think the crowd will be silenced from what we've seen so far in this World Cup. The support has actually been incredible, and obviously for the French team, with them playing at home, I don't think they will be silencing them this coming weekend. But we will draw energy from each other and keep our focus tight, so that we can do our jobs out there and keep our focus.
Marina?
One question for Deon David. It emerged in 2019 also with Chasing the Sun and so on that you had in the build-up of the Rugby World Cup created a bigger motivation and then trying to find an extra motivation for every single match. I remember against us, Italian was smashing the props early on. Have you tried then? I'm not asking what, but if you have had an approach the same way this time?
It's a good question. I mean, I think obviously when you attend this stage of the competition or when you play in a World Cup, there's got to be a lot of individual motivation from the players themselves in terms of what they want to achieve and how they want to express themselves. Obviously for us as team also in terms of who you represent and what is important for you. And then obviously when different teams brings different challenges, approach it with the game different. So I think it's just part of the build-up is to find ways and means of understanding that and then which allows you to express yourself the way you want to on the day of the game. And I think playing against France at France, I mean, in such a beautiful city with electric atmosphere in a World Cup quarterfinal, I think there's not much more than can motivate you to go out there and just do your best. And I think we just hope that everyone will embrace that and just try to do their best.
Antoine?
Thanks, Zina. Just a question with Deon. Deon, you mentioned earlier that the team will be announced on Friday in answer to Hendrik's question.
to maybe bring that surprise element. In 2019, you guys came up with something. There was some sort of surprise against Japan. Is that something, without giving anything away, is this something that's special that was held back that we might be seeing or can expect on Sunday?
I don't know. I think in every game and stuff that you play, you always try to be creative in terms of what the opposition gives you. And obviously, when you play at this level, teams analyze each other to the bone. So you have to find means and ways to stay to your core things that's important for you, but also to outsmart the opposition. And I think that will just stay part of I think our approach, or any team's approach, is to find that edge. To doing something differently on a different place in a different occasion. So I don't think that will be something new in terms of our approach, and that's just how we look at our strategy going into this game.
Liam?
Question for Faf. A lot has been said about how the Springboks have grown an arm and a leg, especially in attack over the last year or so. Now that you've hit the World Cup quarterfinal, is there the temptation to sort of go back to what we traditionally know teams tend to do in World Cup knockout matches, or do you think you should stay that course and that is the path that you've chosen?
I don't think we've chosen a specific path. We've obviously planned everything that we're doing, and I think it will depend on situation, where the game is, what the game is like at that stage, and what's needed from us. If we need to go to the old traditional ways, and then we can do that. And if we need to have a go, we can also do that. When in the past we could only bank on the big boys up front, but now we've got a lot more to offer, a lot more to our game plan, a lot more plays that we've banked over the last few years. So I think it's a great position where I think we find ourselves to know that we're well skilled in all those departments, and we can lean on anything if we need to. So I think it's going to go down to what's needed on the day, and it might need another 50-meter maul or an outstanding try from Colby from his own try line. So I think we're lucky to be in this situation.
Luke?
Thank you. A question for Faf or RG. Can you take any inspiration or motivation from the fact that South Africa won a World Cup at this venue? And are there any lessons that you can take from that victorious campaign as much as it was a few years ago now?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that will inspire us. But I think most of us, having gone through the 2019 World Cup, will also give us a bit of confidence, and just that experience will obviously help us here. And maybe we should call up some of those guys that played in that game, right?
Hendrik?
Thanks, Ina. This one is for Deon. Deon, many supporters say that the crowds in some games influence some of the referees' decisions. What's your take on the crowd's influence on referees?
As I said, I think it's just human that with a loud crowd and so much spectators, especially being the home team spectators, that it in some way gets to you. But I think the referees are professionals. I think they are experienced in their job. I think they do everything to the best of their ability to make the right call on a specific given time. I think they also have enough assistance around them, whether they are unsure of something, that they can lean on them for assistance or for advice. So in terms of that, I think it's difficult to judge and say that a referee make a specific decision as a result of crowd pressure. I think, as I said before, I think there's a lot of pressure on everyone on the field, that is just something that we will have to accept and embrace, and we will have to. If I look for words, we will have to just, as I said, control what we can control, and expect the referee to make the decisions within the law and for the right reason.
Guys, I see there's 3 more hands, so let's go Nathan, Hendrik, and Craig, and then we can wrap it up.
Thank you very much again, Zina. Coach D, can you just give us a review on your thoughts on Deon and Marco's performance at training and match days? How pleased are you with their progression at hooker? Obviously, knowing you being precise with the small details.
I think I'm very impressed in terms of how these guys have grown into the role. They've put a lot of time into their throwing. Luckily, and when you're part of this team, Nathan, it's never about one person taking credit for assisting people. It's about everyone helping and assisting and sharing experience, hookers between hookers, locks between locks, scrummers between scrummers or kickers, to share some knowledge and to assist with the development of people. And it was the same, I mean, in the hookers case, and really they put in the work. They performed under pressure, and I think as they go on, they will grow even better in the role.
Hendrik?
Deon, this one is also for you. Maybe not so serious rugby question. Something that I've wondered about is if there is any time afterwards for Kontikis with a 9 o'clock kickoff time.
We will always find time for that, Hendrik. Okay.
Great.
Sorry to bring it back to rugby for a moment, guys. I mean, you guys have come through 2 real battles with Ireland and Tonga physically. Whereas France played the All Blacks on September the 8th, and they've come through a relatively straightforward group, I would say. Do you think that gives you a little edge that you've had these physical battles more recently than they have, but plus you've had the extra week to rest? Maybe Deon for you, or maybe the players, I don't know.
You see, that's always a fine line. It's always a topic of discussion whether continue playing gives you an edge and whether the extra week resting refreshes you going into a game. I don't think there's really a straight answer or a right or wrong in terms of that. But for us, I think we think it came at a time playing 4 weeks consecutively that we had a break and a time to just to reboot and to revisit things. At the same time, I think France, if you the way not a weakness in the side at this stage, and I think they being in that frame of mind and having that continuous opportunity to play and just build on that this coming weekend, I think might benefit them a lot. So yeah, for us it's just listen, we know we play a formidable opponent, the number 2 in the world. They're a quality side. They've got their home crowd that they play in front of. They have to be the favorite. So for us going in there, we just have to be on top of our game.